Rocklaz Radio with Tanmay Shah.
Rocklaz Radio.
Rocklaz.
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 Rocklaz Radio with Tanmay Shah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another show of Rocklaz Radio. On today's episode, we have with us HChip, my business partner. We are starting a new food joint in Australia, which is called Fish and HChip. The the fish in this is going to be vegan, vegetarian, because we promote that on the show. So yeah, it's good for everybody. A word from our sponsor.
Are you looking for a quick bite of delicious, healthy food? Then come over to Fish and HChips. Our signature vegan fish, combined with healthy chips, ensures that each bite is packed with both flavor and nutrition. That's not all we offer. We have a limited time deal on our amazing merchandise line. Shipped worldwide. From t-shirts to mugs to hoodies, you can get all your Fish and HChips swag at a 25% discount. Order now and experience the magic of Fish and HChips. And remember, bad jokes are on the house.
HChip is, as you know, is a famous collector, very active member in the NFT community, always supporting, helping artists, and he has he's a high performance coach, and we'll find out all about that. So stay tuned till the end. You'll also get to hear fun facts and poem and music from HChip. So it's a wonderful episode. Let's dive into it. HChip, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. That introduction wasn't exactly what I was expecting, although it's probably what I should expect because I sit in your spaces quite regularly, I'm getting used to your. Is it humour? I don't know.
HChip, your volume has gone low again.
Oh, is it? All right.
Yeah, it was better now.
Yeah. All right. I'll speak over here.
Okay.
I mean,
So,
your audience, your audience. A lot of you like say you don't understand me anyway. So does it matter if you can hear me?
yeah, for all those people who cannot understand him, we have a Australian to English translator, or you can see the subtitles. I hope the YouTube algorithm can understand him.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hear me now.
Yes.
Okay, sweet. All right, I'm ready for anything, man. I'm sorted. I've got a beverage, I've got a beer, I've got my chocolate. I'm sorted, Tanmay. Whatever you want, give it to me.
First question to you, HChip. What do you call a crying sister?
Crying sister. Crying sister. A sadling. No, I don't know. What is it?
A crisis.
All right. I'll see you later. Yeah. You're gonna do this all? Are you gonna do this throughout the whole thing, or?
No, it was just for a warm up.
No. All right. Have you got to watch your language on this?
Sorry?
You got to be careful with any blue language, like swear words and whatnot. I've asked you that before.
Okay. I thought with that joke you would remove your sock out from your face, but anyways, let's continue. HChip, with this question we want to know about your background. So, how do you believe your personal background and story has set you apart and influences you and your work today?
That's a good question. I don't know. That's really. I mean, my background is so different to most of the people in the space, given that most people in the space are creatives. So they're operating from a certain side of the brain, whereas I've been in business and corporate and stuff. So there is a difference in thinking, I think. But I think the way I approach the space is really what everyone asks for, which is just be yourself and authentic and stuff. People say that they want that, but I don't know how true that is, because people get upset very easily. So I approach the space I'm just myself, and some people really like it, which is lovely, and others less so. But I think that's just life, isn't it?
If you take us back, we also know you have connections with England. How many years have you lived in Australia?
Well, I've been here for I've been in Australia for a couple of decades now. So I grew up in Essex, England, and moved to London at quite a not a young age, but like a young adult, like 19, I think, or 20. And that's when I started on my career. Like I started working in newspapers then, and finished my career in newspapers a year ago or 2 years ago. To and fully submerge myself into the Web3 environment. So it's been a really interesting transition. It's like you couldn't get. I guess you could get more polarizing changes, but it's very, very different. It's really, really different. But I love it. I do love it. Everything shifts in Web3. I used to invest a lot in real estate, and very traditional type markets. Working in traditional media and things. And then now to be on the sort of the forefront of what could be the single biggest change that humanity's seen, in our lifetimes. It's brilliant. It's a good thing to feel a part of, even though I don't really feel completely part. I'm sort of from the outside looking in a bit, because I don't, I can't do what the the people I admire in the space can do, which is create. I've always been fascinated with creativity.
So you were from Sussex and then you went to London. And what you said, you in the
Yeah.
newspapers, I couldn't hear that very well. Uh,
Yeah, I
you
started off so it's Essex. So I moved from Essex, and the news. Yeah, so I worked in newspapers from the age of, I think I was 18. I think when I started, and that was like it was basically I wasn't even supposed to get that job. It was for graduates of university, and I was still at school, so I must have been younger than that, 17 maybe, 17 or 18, I guess. And generally, when you graduate, you're 24, 25. And I applied anyway, because you can't lose anything. Anyway, someone got sick, and my name was next on the list. So I get a phone call at the school asking if I could come in the next day for this all-day group interview thing. And I was lucky enough to be one of the few that they picked. And then I went on this mad, like, sales training program, and that was, like, quite a long time ago now.
what was the job about? What exactly did you do in the newspapers?
I was selling advertising. So this like, I'm a kid, right? It was terrifying, because this is when you could treat people uh, like adults and stuff, So you could take away chairs, or you could prevent someone from having access to hot drinks, stuff like that, without getting fired. You could do that. Do you know what I mean? And so it was really fierce, like competitive, and
Actually, I don't know what you mean. So
oh, what?
yeah,
What?
I couldn't hear all the words properly. So yeah, can you just repeat that? Because your
Yeah.
accent also doesn't help in that. Can you just speak a bit louder and slower?
Okay. Okay. I'll try and speak. Is this better if I speak a bit
Yes.
like this?
Yes.
This is ridiculous, but I'll do it. Um, so yeah, so I was just saying that working in that environment in a big sales house, selling advertising back then, the leadership team could be much more aggressive. They didn't have to worry about human resources and all the sensitive nonsense you get now. You could just kind of speak your mind a little bit, um, and it was really, really intense and really high pressure. But I learned an awful lot. Like, I'm really glad for the experience, even though at the time I didn't really enjoy it too much. I was kind of scared most of the time.
So you were into sales and you were selling ads in the newspaper. Whom were you
Yeah,
contacting? Who were your clients, and how would you contact? Cold calling or go to their office, or what was your
yeah.
target
So
market?
okay, so it was a newspaper called Lloyd's List in East London, and I believe it's the oldest newspaper on the planet. I don't even know if it's still going, but it used to track the movement of ships from one port to another, and it was revered. It was a very important document back in the day, and so I would be cold calling shipping companies, companies like P&O or Maersk or HSK. I don't think HSK. Those types of companies, the big shipping companies and stuff like that. And you could phone them as a cold call, and try and get them to buy advertising. Um, yeah, it was really difficult. Like, because you didn't have access, you couldn't email. We didn't have email. I just had cards with stuff written down, and so it really was. I mean, imagine me trying to sell to a German a shipping ad. Do you know what I mean, Tanmay? It's near on impossible. We got so bored, like we'd have so many calls that we'd start playing games. So we'd have to call using different accents, or we'd make up English sayings that didn't exist. So as part of the close, we'd say things like, um, "Well, Mr. Werner, as we say in England, you have to take off your sandals before you run into the sea." Which is obviously not a saying at all, but just stupid stuff to get through the day.
So is your regular accent also the one of the made up accents?
My accent, I don't think I mean, my accent, it's weird how all of you seem to understand all the other English people, but not me. And I'm speaking the same as them. So I think it's weird. It's, I don't know if it's racist, but it's definitely not very kind.
The irony is you were in the calling business. You had to actually call and talk to people.
I know. But, the weird thing is, I was awful to start with. They had this big board, and you had to put your number up of how much it sold, right? And at the end of the day, in front of hundreds of people, this sales floor was like football pitches size. And you had to go up in front of everyone as the trainees, rub your number out, and then they'd write your new number up there in front of everyone. And mine was 0, so I'd have to rub the 0 out, and then I'd have to say in front of everyone, it's still 0, and then they'd write another 0 to replace the 0. And that happened every day for probably a month. It was really, really brutal. I was only a kid. So that it was hard. It was a harsh environment. Like I say, you couldn't do it today. Like, you'd be fired immediately.
I'm visualizing Wolf of Wall Street right now. Everybody's sitting and calling people. So I guess something
Exactly.
like that.
Exactly that. It's almost exactly that. Yeah. Yeah.
How
Without
many
without. Yeah. Yeah. Go on.
how many years did you do this for? And was this one of those ships by which you came to Australia?
I was in sales for only a couple of years in London, and then I moved to Sydney, and then I had to kind of restart my career, even though it was only 2 years old. But I very quickly moved into leadership. I was in that
What brought you to Sydney?
a woman,
Oh, Australian woman.
she was Australian, yeah, yeah, um, yeah. There was there's always a woman, but anyway, so I yeah, so I was in, so I got into sales over here, but they moved me into leadership really quickly, and that was when I started work for a magazine called New Scientist and Variety magazines, which you've probably heard of or may have heard of. Um, and from there, I just just carried on, found my way to News Corp, and spent the majority of my career, or a lot of my career, the majority, no, it's not the majority, but a number of years working at News Corp, Sydney, uh, Queensland.
So in
Uh,
the magazines, what were you a writer or were you also into the sales for the magazines?
so it was leadership really. So I was first tasked. News Corp News Corp had a problem. They had a big business problem because they owned the entire market. If you're a local grocer, grocery place, or whatever, right? The only place the only place you can advertise to your local market is in the local newspaper, or at least used to be. And then, and news is obviously huge. They own everything. But then Google came along and took that market. All the jobs market. You don't see job ads in newspapers. All the classified went online. Everything really went online. And so the sales team that News Corp had weren't equipped to go and hunt and find business. They were equipped to take calls and nurture people and be really soft and look after, you know, any queries, account management. These account managers that pretend they're in sales? They're not. They're nobody. They don't do anything really. So they needed a proper sales team. So they, we just sat down and spoke, and I told them what I think their problem is, and they hired me to address it basically, and to start
Hired you
building
to?
sorry, say that again.
They hired you for what?
They hired me to uh, take over a business development team. So rather than account managers, they wanted to see what would happen if they gave me the will basically to go and educate the existing sales team, but also um, bring people in and recruit and train, coach, and develop into people that were capable of going out and finding business and closing deals rather than waiting for the phone to ring and taking an order. And I built that up. Uh, it took me probably a couple of years to get the good results, and then they promoted me into a bigger. You know how it goes. You just progress through the company, don't you?
You
Um,
started out as a 22-year-old taking calls. What incident happened, or what questions or what actions did you do that you got the responsibility of the whole team and you are actually into business development then, training and recruiting people? How did that happen?
the first thing is, and it's not like it's just fact. I'm not being egotistical, but like, it's just a fact of it. Is I was the best salesperson. I was the best salesperson, but like by a mile. Um, so you naturally get like there's leadership. Leadership comes from a lot of different places, right? When you're a kid, I always use this. I don't like there's leadership where you do what you're being told because you have to, like a teacher, right? They're given leadership, but there's leadership where you don't have the title, but people follow you because of the standards you set and that they admire you to some degree. You know, you have these leadership qualities people speak of can be defined. Um, and I kind of set the example. I was always the first one in. I always had the best numbers. I always spoke to more people. And if other people were struggling, I'd help them hit their targets too. So it's like, well, you know, where'd you go with that? You have, do you know what I mean? So, the team liked me, but I think management liked me more than the people because I was getting results. Like, I think my first year there, I tripled revenue in the first year, and that's you know, they were shocked. It's like, well, how are you doing this? I said, because I'm speaking to people. Like, it's not, it's not complicated, or it shouldn't be. You know,
Hmm.
if I can do it, anyone can do it.
HChip,
What's
you were in sales for so many years, and I like the part where you said that leadership is not to be demanded, it's commanded. In a way, when king starts calling himself king, he's no more a king because it has to come from the people or from the people to recognize a leader or recognize an influencer or a king. So how were you able to do that? Was it coming naturally or were you putting in efforts for it, or how did you s- become influential or get known for your leadership skills?
Yeah, okay. The first thing I say is like you're spot on. You know, anybody that self-proclaims things, they're not doing it well enough because if you have to self-proclaim it, then there's something wrong, right? If somebody doesn't know and you have to tell them, so it should be it should be recognized by others, not by self. But as for what I did, I mean, number one, I've always said what everyone else is thinking in the room. You know, like whatever company I was at and whoever was in the room. And I'm not saying this to boast. It's just who I am. It's like I'll challenge authority all the time because I think you have to like, and actually the good leaders, the best leaders I work for, they love to be challenged. They actually really enjoy it because that's where progress is made and 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 good leaders want to know when you're not on the boat with them. You know, if you're not aligned with the vision or the strategy, I much prefer people to uh, be vocal about that and challenge and object and argue and debate, and so that we can overcome those concerns or questions or um, whatever it is they have feelings about, and and get them on board. You know,
Hmm.
and I was always that guy. I was always the person like you know, sometimes you sit in a room, you know everybody's thinking the same thing, but instead of challenging it, they go, yeah, no, that's definitely, you've got to do that. It's I never did that ever.
So you spoke your mind, you always challenged the status quo, and that's the number one thing you suggest out of it. All
Oh,
right.
but constructively. I'm not saying go against the grain to be an arse. You know, it's constructive. It's like, you know, this is where I have a concern. This is where I see risk or whatever. And you have an open dialogue. It's all respectful. It's not like, no, you know, I'm not going in and telling my bosses that they're idiots or anything like that. It's always with the intent of getting a better result. That's it, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. From here, from being a sales team leader to starting to invest in real estate, what were the other steps?
That was completely by accident. what happened was I bought a unit near the beach in Sydney, and it went up. The Sydney housing market went mad about probably 12, 13 years ago, something like that. So I bought this unit. It went up in value, and my broker and I wanted to buy a house in a different area of Sydney, a 3-bed house. And so I said, I need to sell this unit and to get liquidity to buy this one. He said, well, you can do both. And he taught me how to, because you get the income from the rent that can go towards all this stuff. And he just laid it all out for me. So I ended up, buying this house, but keeping the unit and renting it out. And then I did the same thing a couple of years later. So I bought another nicer house in Sydney and kept the other house and that unit. And then I leveraged from that and bought some units north and bought a house south. And so I just started accumulating, it's that stupid thing of, I guess it's the rich get richer, I guess, but I was never rich. It was all like there's mortgages against these properties, but they just went up a lot. It was good.
So you played it like a Monopoly game where you start with one and keep selling and expanding. And did you build a hotel?
If I played it like Monopoly, I would have been wearing this, going into the bank and taking all the cash. That's how I used to play Monopoly. But no, it was luck. There was no talent in it. I mean, I started to look at data around the best places to start purchasing in terms of property, and I had it all mixed up. I was buying for capital gains. For the house to go up. Where you want to buy is in low income areas, where the rent can go up quickly and they never leave. You just got distracted by a fly, Tanmay.
Sorry?
You got distracted by a fly just then.
I still didn't understand. Tags by fly.
You got distracted by a fly.
No, it wasn't a fly.
What was it?
Okay, I need to
No,
stop this.
no. Don't edit that out. Listen, why do they call a fly a fly? No, why do flies have wings?
To fly.
Because if they didn't have wings, they'd be called a walk.
So we should be called a walk.
That's one of yours. That's for you, mate.
So no, it wasn't a fly. My AC stopped working, so I was checking out why does that keep getting hot? And it's very hot in India. I believe it's cold in Australia right now. So yeah, that's why
But
you're very.
it is hot in here. It's hot in here. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
going to have to take this off soon because I can feel myself getting hot underneath it. How much longer have I got to do? How much longer are we doing this for, Tanmay?
You'll know.
You're not editing any of this out, are you?
No.
Good. How much longer have we got?
We
Hour?
have got
Hour and a half?
yeah, 1.5 hours.
Okay, cool. So tell me when I can grab a quick beer.
Yeah, you can have now. Go ahead.
No, I haven't finished this yet. I'll give you give another 10
Okay.
minutes. All right. So I was talking about something really important. You got distracted by the AC, and then we started talking about flies. So you're the host. Where were we?
Okay, so I want to pull back the conversation to. Okay, I think you should remove the.
So, mate, this is better than Kato, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Is it?
Yeah. What about the putting the sock on is better than Kato's?
Not just content.
Oh yeah. It has got many. This one is very colorful. That's what I would say. Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you do before the sales and the real estate, or did you keep doing the sales even after you became an investor?
Yeah, that was that. Yeah, I was never unemployed. That was the stuff I was doing to try and accumulate some wealth. But my passion was it was sales. I was really obsessed with sales and um, having persuasive conversation, but also the competition of it. I loved being the best at something. I'd never really done that before, and seeing your name at the top of the league table. It sounds so silly, but I really bought into it. I loved it, and I didn't want to be top, like at top of the sales team. Fine, top of the floor. Fine, top of the company. That's better. Top of the country. You know, like I was like I was an animal really, but that that dies with age. You know, the competition starts to wear out. And that's definitely what happened to me. And my interest became more about the people I worked with rather than the people external. So it's all sales, but rather than selling to external clients, I'm now selling an ideology or a philosophy or coaching, to a group of people whose careers are kind of in my hands. And that really excited me when I started looking at it like that. It
Mm.
really excited me. Like you can change people's lives if you do it really well.
So you became a coach within the organization in the process.
Yeah. 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 I started coaching people really quite early, but became more obsessive about it. Not obsessive, but really passionate about it. Um, Probably in my early 30s, I reckon.
Mm. So did you become an independent consultant, or did you continue in the sales business and did the consultancy on the side?
No, there's no consultancy. I was doing this within the business. So if I was
Mm.
leading a sales team, I just spent a lot of my time coaching them. But it's when I started to, as with anything, right? Your area of influence is limited really to the people that you have direct influence over. You can have indirect influence over your peers and seniors and other people in the business, but direct influence is really contingent on how many people the business will trust under your influence. So as that got bigger, my my coaching became more important because there were, it's like if you can get senior in a company, like if you can get to a senior level in a company, and you're good at it, then they've got one good staff member in you, right? But if you can get it in your head to try and replicate or help other people to come their own version of that level, it's not an ego thing. It's the opposite of that, really. It's a humility thing, I think. But the commercial difference that makes, if you can create a sales team or a powerhouse sales team and editorial, you know, um, all the other components, production that goes with it, but to perform at the levels that you sort of set for yourself, it's huge. It's massive the difference it makes. Because I'm not that smart really. So like when when you're running a business at one of these big corporations, the P&L is huge. The volume of strategy documents is huge. The presenting to board level and all of these things is big, and you have to know the business inside and out. Everything, from like how many copies weren't delivered to this particular petrol station in this area. You know, when you're covering multiple states of Australia, which is like the size of Europe, and so I figured, well, I'm never going to get my head around that stuff because I'm just not smart enough to. My brain's not big enough to hold all this shit. So I figured, well, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna trust myself to build the best possible commercial business and produce the best number, the best results. And if I do that, they're not going to ask me any of these questions. they'll be asking Sadsack down the street who's not getting the numbers because they want to apply pressure. That was my approach to it really, and it was a shortcut, but it worked. You know,
Hmm.
we put the best numbers up, and instead of getting a bollocking, we was on a yacht somewhere, or do you know what I mean? So
You wanted to become the best in your field, and you also wanted other people whom you were motivating or encouraging or helping them solve the problem so that they could become the best versions of themselves. Wow.
I used to think when I first got into sales and I made my first big deal, I think it was about £500,000 to a streetlight company in England, and
To
I
a
thought
what company?
this oh, it's some, you know, like streetlights, you know,
Street
like
lights. Okay.
like lamppost things, right? And I thought at the time, this is it, you know, I'll never beat this. And then selling big double page spreads for 40 grand or, you know, 50 grand, whatever, and doing $1 million deals. Like, it was not, it was, I loved it at the time, but nothing came close to, seeing an employee come into the business kind of rough around the edges, you know, with a great attitude, but rough around the edges. And that's what I cared about, was the attitude, the drive. Everything else can be taught. I used to say this, like, I can't teach you to pick up the phone. That's the only
You
thing.
can't
It
teach
has to
to.
be. I can't teach you to pick up the phone.
Hmm.
You know, the hustle. If you don't have the hustle, I can't help you. But if you can show me you got hustle, I can do all the other stuff. I can help coach all the other stuff into you. But some people are uncoachable. But the feeling I used to get watching a staff member work through, you know, from me recruiting them to them getting promoted, then I promote them again, then they've got a team, and then the business recognizes them with awards. They have big sales, pay rise, bonus. That that was a better feeling than closing any deal I've ever closed. Seeing those things happen to real people. Um, I loved it. I love that feeling.
Are you still into the sales?
Well, the stuff, the work I do with artists, you know, with my high performance program, is really centered around sales. You know,
Hmm.
if I'm not helping them sell more art than before they worked with me, then I'm not much use.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes, we are
so
going to dive into specific questions on that. Just
you know,
one thing to clarify: what did you do before NFTs? Before Web
I
three?
was I was at News Corp.
You
I
were
was in
in?
newspapers. I was
Okay.
at News Corp with newspapers. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now coming to the high performance, we all know you have it in your bio, and you're always trying to help out artists and everybody to improve their high performance. So, starting from the basics, what do you mean by high performance?
Um, well, what I mean by it is really, gosh, that's a good question. It's really the approach. It's the approach and the mindset of an individual to to achieve the very best in a tight vertical niche area. So by high performer, I'm talking about the 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 theory around it is on the framework of the best performers in the world, and they could be politicians, they could be athletes, they could be CEOs, you know, and so on. But across those people, and there's 300,000 interviews done on these types of individuals, there are characteristics and traits that are common in all of them. Whether it's Nelson Mandela, Usain Bolt, you know, they have the same characteristics and approach to their work. So that's kind of what I mean by high performance, is behaving in the way that those types of people behave.
So, could you say high performance is reaching your goals within a shorter period of time?
Not necessarily that. It's more. the it's more the approach you take to work and and the discipline involved. You know, it's like there's no excuse narrative. There's no but the market's gone to shit. I was going to sell my art. I wanted to sell 2 pieces this month, but the market's gone to shit. Well, the artist equivalent of a Usain Bolt sells 2 pieces. They don't even know the market's shit. They have no focus on that. They don't even hear any of that. They're so focused and so wired in to what they're looking to achieve that that the market conditions they don't come across the table. And it's that attitude and mindset that I try to impart upon others. And of course there's business strategy and and things that go along with it, but it starts with the head and how you view things.
You mentioned that that urge has to come within. You cannot teach somebody to lift the phone to call. How do you think will, I mean, this is an attitude change, right? Even for the artist to change his mindset from depending on market to having that focus is change in attitude. How do you think to achieve that? Or
You can change it. It's so big people have basic belief systems in their head, and they can be really really real, right? Really real. Um, but if you have the right dialogue and the person is open to discussion, then you can dislodge that belief system. So an example might be, I don't know, I sold 100 pieces of art last year, right? How am I ever going to sell 400 this year? I only sold 100 last year. And then you sort of talk them through the process of all the strategy or structure that you can put under it, and the fact that you could probably work 4 times harder if you had to. If it meant getting your family out of a prison in a bunker somewhere, you could probably find a way to do it. So it's unlocking that part of you, and and going for it with no excuse. It's I think if people get themselves in the mindset of I'm not I'm not I'm going to self-evaluate myself every day, but the evaluation is not going to be on how busy I am, but how productive I am, and what have I done today that's got me closer to the 400 pieces of art needs selling, and then give yourself a score and do it every day, and then say, well, what needs to change tomorrow to get a better score? What do I need to rule out, and what do I need to put a tick against to get a better result tomorrow? And then apply it. That in a nutshell is, yeah, it's the 1% thing, isn't it? Of just improving 5%. And it's true. There is a way to do it. You know, if it came to life or death, you'd sell the piece of art.
hmm. So taking a moment, taking a strongest desire, it may be out of fear or it may be out of love, and channelizing that to achieve your goals. Is that the, like, discovering that thing and then pushing yourself to achieve your goals from there? Is this the
Yeah,
formula?
one part of it, but there's a bunch of parts to it. It's it's having the right circumstances, having the right environment is really important. So if you think if you think how people adjust to their circumstances, right, and agree that human beings do adjust to their circumstances, it's like at the World Cup. You know, footballers play the best football of their lives, or the however how long do the Olympics go for? 3 weeks. There's more records broken in that 3 weeks than at any point in the 4 years in between the next 3 weeks when they all get broken again. Why is that? Why do athletes suddenly produce world record scores or times in that 3 weeks, but not at any other point in a 4 year period? The reason is because they're in an environment that is conducive to bring out the very best in them as an athlete. So by mimicking those circumstances into any field you're in, you can stimulate a better result for yourself.
So if we take an example, an artist, you're talking about 100 sales last year and 400 this year. There are many struggling artists who haven't had any single sale in the past 6 months or few sales in the past whole year, and they may or may not be into that situation or circumstances as you're talking about. They are somewhere in a remote place, or there's not a lot of encouragement around them. For this artist, what would you suggest, or how would you start working with them?
I think, well, it's a lot of it, as I say, is in the head. It's mindset, and your audience is going to listen to this, and their response will be, "I'm an artist. I don't need to sell. I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to sell my art. It will find the right collector. It speaks for itself. All this stuff you hear, and it's true. Like if you've got a really solid brand and you're established, and the brand is consistent, and you've got credit in the world of Web3, of course it will sell. But you need to build that brand. So it's a multifaceted thing. It's not just one area. So for an artist like that you just described, I would talk more to them about what their brand identity is for themselves, and how are they putting that out there? How are they reflecting that brand in every tweet they send, in every conversation they have, in every space they speak in, you know, in every description of their art, everything. How is that brand correlating to the words that are being said? Um, and there might be some psychology stuff in there as well, that some belief. If the narrative in the head is I can't sell any work because all the collectors have left, that's a belief system which is false and needs to be dislodged and replaced with a new belief system, which is the collectors haven't left. I just haven't connected with them. So
I just have collectors
I
haven't
haven't,
left, and what is the second
it's
half of the statement?
the collectors haven't left. I just haven't connected with them. And so now you've identified the problem and you know what the solution is. Well, identify who they are and connect.
But isn't that true? Like looking at numbers and how many sales, that is pretty evident. No, in Web3, on Foundation, on Super Rare, we can just go and see how many sales have happened throughout the day or in the past month. That number is significantly less than what it was many months ago.
Absolutely. But that's true. The same can be said for every industry that's ever been created. There's been dips. There's dips in the automotive trade, in retail, in property, in everything. In travel. Think how travel was affected through COVID. Do you think the CEO do you think Richard Branson or whatever, like the biggest person in aircraft, Boeing, was sat there going that no one wants to fly anymore. Shut the doors. Of course they didn't. They pushed even harder. They built a narrative around domestic travel when the bubble got reduced, or you could travel to certain areas. They doubled down on their marketing spend and their activity. Having dips in a market isn't unique to artists and Web3. It happens in every industry, and the people that survive it and act in the right way when it's in these downturns reap massive benefits when it comes back. Huge benefits. It's the single quickest way to take market share is to double your activity when there's a recession, and then when the recession is overcome, the market comes back and your market share increases because all of your competitors haven't done that and they pay the price.
So, doubling down on your efforts and doing more tweets. For example, you start doing more tweets in a better way. But then, how do you? That is being busy, right? You spend your whole day in just marketing yourself and created less of the artwork, and you don't know who has heard it or if somebody is responding or no. You're not seeing the engagement in the analytics. How do you measure your progress? You said don't measure your busyness, right? You measure your productivity and performance. How would you assess that in these scenario?
Brilliant question. Not for 1 minute am I suggesting you sit behind your desk tweeting all day, by the way. But that is a measure. So you start with like your, what do you want to achieve? That's the
Watching one
peak.
of the
What are you here for? What do you want to accomplish? Right? And it's probably going to be an amount of ETH generated, right? So that's the top thing. That's number one. And then beneath that are a set of KPIs, like key performance indicators, that you have to abide by to make that goal become a reality. And some of them have a direct correlation to it. Things like minting work, producing a cohesive, beautiful collection with a good description, high quality, minted. Like that has a direct relationship to generating ETH, right? Because you're producing a product that needs to be sold to get there. A less an indirect KPI is the amount of collectors you're speaking to every week, right? And that you may not get a sale from that, but you're generating a network of individuals who know who you are and are now familiar with your work. So they're now closer to buying than the week before you didn't speak to them. And you track that, you manage your relationships, and you're constantly looking to go from 0 through to 10 in terms of your relationship status with those collectors. And you're collecting data along the way. This person loves Pixar style art. This person only buys editions, or whatever it is, and you're collecting all of this. So it's not a single thing. It's a number of different things that you want to be doing, and but doing them really, like, religiously, and commit to them. But it's not a spray and a pray approach either. You want to have an
it's not a
awareness
what?
of the, like a spray and pray. It's not. It's like starting a task without being consciously aware of what the outcome of that task you want to have. What is the desired outcome? Be aware of that before you start, because if there isn't one, there's every chance that task is useless and that time could be spent on something much more productive for your number one goal.
About goal setting, do you think only having that X amount of ETH, 5 ETH, 10 ETH, 20 ETH, is that the main objective, or can there be other goals also?
Well, give me an example of another goal.
So producing X amount of works. This is second one. Third one could be, I don't mint any, but at least have spent half an hour, 1 hour, or few hours every day in creating an artwork, or in a week I spend one full day in creating artwork. So either consistency, either earning that X amount of money, either having X amount of artworks minted, or either X amount of like collectors interacted with, or even fifth one, which many people give importance to, is X number of followers on social media. What do you think about these goals, and what is the right goal to have or no? Or is there any other goal which I've skipped out from these?
They're not goals. They're measures, I think. They're measures that get you to your goal. Because if I keep asking you, why do you want to mint more work? Why? Why is that an achievement? If you say the goal is to mint, what was that first one you said? Mint
Mint
10
works.
pieces.
Second is consistency, doing one work every day like people, or whatever consistency you decide, one whole day in a week or 3 hours a day. The
Yeah,
consistency aspect.
but why?
Yeah.
The reason is that, like, eventually you'll get to, well, because then my profile will be bigger, more people will be attracted to me, and I'll sell more work, which is the relationship to the number one goal. So that should always be the goal, is the end result. The reason you do anything, as far as minting work, and any artist that says, I don't do this for the money, I do it for the connections or the friendship, or for the culture, you can have my wallet address now and just send me the work. If it's nothing to do with money, let's put that theory to the test. And you can publish my wallet address in the description of this video. And anybody that ever says that, tell them to send all their artwork to that address.
So no, if not for the money, people has been doing everyday artwork since 16 years, every single day. And in his talks or in his whatever he's saying, it never occurs that he's doing it for money.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. So there may be reasons outside that you're doing it for peace of mind or as part of meditation or something like that. But that's not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about the artists that are in this space to either work less hours IRL in the job that they hate or become full-time, artists, whatever you want to call it. If the desired outcome from your art is to feel more relaxed, I've got no bones about that whatsoever. Of course, I'd go for it. But if you're minting things on the blockchain, you're not minting those things on the blockchain to gain inner peace. Buddhism's been around longer than Ethereum.
No, why not? No, the people can just mint it so that it survives the test of time, that it is in the gallery with nobody having the rights or permission to take it down. Those are the
Which is,
fundamentals
which
of
is,
Web3, right? Somebody might be just minting for it to be historic, and because it's digital, he wants it to survive throughout the time immemorial.
yeah, that's fair. I agree with that. I should rephrase it then. Mint it and put a price on it. And you're absolutely right. There's things that are mint on the blockchain just for family history reasons, things like that. So I don't disagree with you, but I think it's I don't know. I don't think it's genuine. If you're minting artwork on the blockchain and you're active in Web3, the outcome you want is to sell work. You want to sell more work, and the thing the the very fact that we're having this sort of discussion is one of the inhibitors. It's like artists, and I know this is a general view, and people get upset and things, but in general, talking about money and sales, it feels like an ugly thing to say as an artist, and I don't understand why. You should be unapologetically trying to get as much ETH as humanly possible, because the gifts that you have, the talent that these people have, yourself included, are are so they're so beyond me. I have no comprehension of how you do this stuff, and so for me, it's why wouldn't you want to be? Why would you not want to trade that talent, commoditize it, and trade it for ETH? And why would you be embarrassed or shy or coy about it? There's no problem.
I don't think people are necessarily sad about selling it or shilling it because they come on the spaces and talk about it, right? People wouldn't have talked or spoken or even shared their work if that was the case. And that was the case with me. Like before NFTs, I didn't even show my art to anybody. It wasn't there on the it wasn't there on Instagram, it wasn't there on Facebook or any other method like that. So it was, and then after NFTs, I started sharing it, and that's there it is.
Darling,
So you got a
you
backup.
annoyed, you annoyed me. I got really hot. I don't know if you can
So why
tell.
don't you just remove it?
Oh, sorry about that.
Why don't you
No,
just
yeah,
remove
no,
it?
I will for the last half hour. Anybody that sticks around for the last half hour can get
That's
to
good.
get themselves
That's
all
a good
moist.
strategy. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you get to see. Have you ever seen the Elephant Man?
No.
Have you not?
Elephant
The geezer
Man.
with the Elephant Man.
No.
He had a bag on
What
his
is it?
head.
Is it a movie?
John Elphick or something. He spoke like that.
Okay, I'll check it out.
My name is John Derek. Something like that. Oh God, I'll get canned for that.
All right. Pulling back the conversation to artists and what goals should be kept in life, because this is not just about artists, right? This is for everybody, all entrepreneurs out there. how do you find what is your main goal or what you want to do in next period of time? Because it is nerve wracking or very frustrating if you keep too high goals and you're not able to achieve it. Grant Cardone in his book has many times mentioned it, that whatever your goal you have, you multiply it by 10 and have a 10x goal. Have the goals high, but also take 10x action, like take massive actions of increasing it. But many times there's a lot of what do you say, disappointment, frustration that comes if you don't meet those goals. Like in one of the previous spaces we're talking, and you mentioned about having target of 1 ETH or 2 ETH every month for X number of months, but it doesn't happen that way, right? Sometimes you just have take so many efforts, and it is very difficult. Then that propels you into sort of negativity. It could to some people or some people not. How how to be ambitious, how to have big goals and still be at the top of your game every time you're doing it? What do you think?
Well, I think firstly, if you set an easy goal and then celebrate when you hit it, it's meaningless, and you know that inside yourself. If you set an easy goal, sorry, it's boiling. Hang on, you're gonna get an early preview. All right, fluffy hair. That's right. Yeah, can you hear me, all right? Yeah. Yeah. So in order to hit a really aggressive goal, you've got to be on top performance, don't you? You know what I mean? So it's kind of part and parcel of it. And look, the other thing to mention here is that not every not everyone's going to be a high performer just by definition. Most people aren't. We're all going to make it. Is the most bollocks thing you could ever hear. Most people are not going to make it. Like probably 98% of people aren't going to make it that start trying to make a living out of it. I don't know what the stats are, but it's enormously like difficult. That's why I find you all so like fascinating and interesting, because it's a skill that not many people have. And I think so. To answer your question, one of the things I see a lot of is people are starting to doubt their talent or doubt their place in the market, and they're looking at their peers and things, which is a good thing to do. You know, looking at your peers is a good thing to do. It's a good measure, but you need perspective. If you're surrounded by the best artists on the planet, it's okay sometimes to see somebody whose work you go, I could never create that. Well, of course, the chances are that's going to happen. You're surrounded by the best people in the world, so get some perspective and go down to the local art fair on a weekend and have a look at what the nanas are selling, and recognize just how good you are. You know.
Hmm. You said 98% are people are not going to make it,
No,
96%.
no. Don't get hung up
If
on that.
no, I'm having a question related to that, because I was reading a book on Seth Godin. His book is called Quit, and he talks about these things. If you think you're going to make it and you're at a curve which is going to bounce back, you just keep going and doing it and double down, as you were saying before. But if there's a slight chance that you don't think it is going to happen, or that industry is closing down, or something is it is out of the way, out of it's going away, then get out of it immediately and quit immediately. So how do you identify this? Which
I
position you
completely,
stand in?
I completely agree with that. If it's a high performer, they don't buy into the butt narrative. They don't do that. They're so, like I said, they wouldn't even notice this distraction of the market. They're so focused on what they're doing. If you said to them, do you know that the volume of NFT sales is 80% down since January? They go, I don't give a shit. Like, now get out of my studio. I'm painting a goat, or whatever it is they're doing, you know? Um, so they don't buy into that narrative. They're too busy on their own course. It's like, I always use Usain Bolt because I think he's the most universally recognized person. You know, I know use someone from football that no one's heard of. Um, but Usain Bolt Like, can you imagine the mindset that that guy has to basically, like, his years and years practicing every single morning comes down to less than 10 seconds at an event. Like, think of the mental strength you'd have to put all of those hours of practice in and training and eating the right things, go to bed at the right times, all of this stuff. And then it comes down to the day and it's all over literally in a few blinks of an eye. And then he sets that world record and he goes out and parties and goes nuts and rewards himself. But less than a few days later, he's immediately saying, how can I beat my own time? How can I get off the starter track just a slight second quicker? That's the mentality of, you know, of a high performer.
I couldn't agree more with you. Spending 4 years or even whole lifetime just to improve on your seconds day in and day out. My brother is an athlete. I have been through his trainings and all that. Trying so hard without having a gratification, like at least in NFTs we have a gratification when we have had sales in a day or in a week or in a month. We we will feel good if they have had sales, but in those case, in the case of athlete, it's not that case. You have to wait so many hours, hustle so hard, and even then you're competing with the other person's preparation. It's not that particular day, but it's the whole preparation that even the other person is doing. People give examples of LeBron James, that one of the athlete had gone to basketball court and he was seeing LeBron practicing there even before he came in, and he was practicing even after he had gone, or even he was when he was trying to leave. So sports people, even scientists, I even appreciate scientists for this, because they keep on trying and experimenting and discovering and researching without finding a single positive or anything to drive them ahead for so many years. Like, I want to reach a state of mind where I am doing a work without having any expectation or looking into the future, or as Elon Musk says it, uh, failure is a probability. So he's not really going, or he says that he's he's neither an optimist or pessimist. He just wants to do it for the thing itself, the sake of itself, and going it and doing these things ahead. So uh, what are your thoughts?
I mean, the science thing is so spot on because they spend their lives trying to disprove themselves. Do you know what I mean? Like they come up with a hypothesis, and then the most of their work is to try and prove that it's wrong. You know, like it's so anti, but it's brilliant. Yeah, I agree with I agree with what you're saying. I think that it's important because what I'm getting from hearing you speak is that this notion of success and failure, and if you set this kind of ETH target, the fear of failure and falling short, and it takes the joy out of the work, things like this. And I just want to touch on that because that's not the message here. Like that's not what I'm trying to get. I don't want people feeling like they're in a factory churning out art to sell.
Exactly.
It's
That
yeah.
I just want to elaborate. It felt like that, when the market is booming, you feel like it's a commodity, or like you're just manufacturing it again and again, quicker and quicker, faster and faster, like a factory. The art gets out of it, and it's more of a production mindset that comes in, and then the sales, and then reaching that target. So, yeah, just
Yeah,
adding on to what
yeah,
you're saying.
yeah. No, I agree with you. But think what you've done in the space. You're an artist and a good artist. But you've leveraged a position of leadership, right? I mean, you've got probably the most popular NFT collector on the planet speaking to you right now, right? And you don't get to book people like me. How many people did you have to speak to before you got to me? Like a dozen, right? Before you could book me.
Three
Um,
dozens, 4 dozens. Yeah.
but but you've got this space, and when I first started coming into your spaces, I immediately was drawn to you. Like I love you, mate. Your jokes are awful, but I think that's part. I think they're awful, and that's part of the joke that it annoys people. It annoys me. But anyway, my point is that you have a brand that is much broader than an artist. You are a Web3. I don't want to say influencer, that you are a leader. You're a leader in that community, um, and I think you do a great job, with those things outside of the work. And I think that's really important that people can take pleasure from other areas when one thing falls down. You don't want to be overly reliant on ETH coming from one source. You want to have income coming from as many sources as possible, but you also want to derive joy and pleasure from as many sources as possible. Because if it's coming from one place and that thing goes, like a woman, or or a partner, or a job, or whatever, then you're in a real difficult position. Um, so, I think that's something I'm learning myself. Is to balance those things. I've spent my entire life um, focused on the attainment of goals in a corporate environment, and so I'm learning to I find pleasure in things that aren't tied to a result. And obviously, music is a big part of that, but it's it's a proper learning. It's a real, it's a journey. I know that's cliche, but it really is.
I have this question to just complete the loop of the discussion we had started about high performance and goals. About ETH, setting your goals with ETH and sale. So when you think of it that way, ETH is money, right? Isn't it? So there can be many more ways of getting money. So if somebody is not earning quickly money in art, he might want to go somewhere else and earn money. That's how most of the artists, want to be, or most of the people who are attracted to be an NFT artist is because of the quick money it was making in 2021, and exponentially unbelievable money. Even for the collectors it's the same thing, and many of those people are not there because their the thing which was driving them wasn't art, it was the sales aspect of it. So considering this aspect, and of course ETH is important for an artist, sales is important for their livelihood, what would you suggest our artist community for going ahead in these times, or to for themselves to be a high performer?
I think it's different. Like if you focus on the NFT world, it's really, like I said before, is doubling down your activity in networking, and making as many contacts as possible, getting your brand as established as possible for when the good times come back. But from a business stance, I think, I advise anyone that I'm working with, we need to find other revenue streams. So selling prints is an obvious example to that, but monetizing your talent in other ways. If you're particularly good at a certain niche of photography, or whatever it is, animation, then then build out modules or classes, or Discord or community where you can help elevate others, and and educate. You could do it in a space. You could do it on Discord. You could do it on YouTube tutorials, things like that. And all of those things help to, they help lift other people, but they also help establish your brand as an authority on a certain area of art, rather than just a contributor to it. And that authority gives you credibility, and credibility overcomes a lot of sales objections. Trust and credibility are big things with sales.
Amazing. I'll put a bookmark to this. You can keep coming. I'll be put as a clip also all these highlights of the show. So do follow the clips playlist. All right.
Can you put a clip, Tanmay? Can you put a clip in when you got distracted by the AC?
That let's see. I have to decide if it has
Oh,
to be a part of this episode or not. But on popular demand. If it is not, and if you're seeing this and if you want it, I'll put it as a special clip. Do comment. Okay.
I'll retweet. I'll retweet, quote tweet, whatever it takes.
All right. One question again on this high performance. In your career of teaching so many people under you, or making them reach their full potential, what was the most challenging project, and how did you go about having
It's
success in it?
Yeah, it's not really in the artwork. Like when you say so many, the artist is pretty limited. You know,
No, I'm
it
not
wouldn't
talking
be
about
more than
art. I'm talking about your
to
whole
general.
journey
Yeah,
in sales throughout the years and coming here. Yeah.
um, it's probably the ones that I kind of I see something in them. So I used to do recruiting. Like I used to quite enjoy recruiting because um, it's a bit of a gamble. It's a bit of a test on your EQ and your read of someone. So I used to like to see, you know, how many gems you get right, you know. And I used to recruit really quickly. Like I'd have people in and out in 10 minutes or less sometimes. But it was ones where there was a guy, I won't say the name, but there was a guy who came to me and they hadn't really sold too much, but I think they were in real estate from memory. I think they might have been in real estate, and they came and they were so driven. They had so much enthusiasm for the job. They knew about the business, the company. Um, they asked good questions. They took notes. You know, all the signs. So I brought them in and immediately clashed with the manager. So I had to deal with that. And they were just rough. You know, they weren't polished. They didn't know how to handle themselves in a corporate structure. You know, you can't behave in certain ways. Anyway, I worked personally with this person because the manager was sort of going in, you know, changing. We were changing managers and leadership a lot, and so I was working more personally with this person, and they ended up being like a really top performer in a declining market, um, and and got some good promotions. You know, I think seeing that and helping someone become established in a stuffy sort of corporation when they're really not a street kid, but do you know what I mean? Like really rough, you know, to become a really polished professional, earning good money and being respected. I really love it. I love seeing that. It was I think he might have been Turkish. Can't remember, but really lovely guy.
So, what was the main challenge with him, and how did you overcome that?
Well, it's not really about talking to them. It's about listening to them. So you break down the issue. You know, what occurred here, what happened here, what would you do differently if you could do it again? It's a lot of it's reflection, you know, and holding it up. And if you come from a place of uh, genuine curiosity, and they can see that your intentions are genuine, that you're on their side, and that there is no judgment, it's disarming, and it allows the person opposite you to really kind of be vulnerable and honest about whatever's taken place. And once you've got that real genuine answer, that's when you can start talking about, you know, what the different methods of dealing with that might be. But the up front bit is where the magic happens. You know, a lot of senior leadership, like particularly with people, is really therapy. It's really counselling. You know, I feel like, and yeah, it's a bit like that.
Awesome. Listening is very important to bring out the best in the person. Thank you. All right, now to the next section. What what by what name do people know you on LinkedIn?
HChip.
HChip.
Yes, sir. Have you looked?
Okay. So
Have you
how?
looked? I
Sorry?
think it's HChip. Have you looked yourself? I think it's HChip.
No.
I think it's
I
H.
thought it was just a made up name for Twitter, so I was just wanting to reconfirm.
No, that's,
Uh,
that's not my name. Yeah, my name's not HChip. No, it's not HChip.
Have you made a brand that even on LinkedIn people recognize you as HChip?
Yeah, my profile picture is David Bowie.
Okay.
Yeah, I slowly changed. Oh, it might not be actually. It might be that Victor Herbert Bowie. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's like a round face. Do you know?
What name would you search on LinkedIn?
Let me have a look. Yeah, oh no, it's not HChip. It's a round face.
You know, we
Oh,
cannot
I got distracted. I got distracted.
run reverse check on LinkedIn, my friend. You got to tell us the name or give
My
us a
name on my name on LinkedIn is Hayden Reed. Hayden. Surname Reed. REED. And the
okay.
PFP is, you know, the what are they called? The originals or the ordinate? What are they called? That PFP project?
Uh, PFP projects, right? 10,000 collectibles and which ones?
Oh,
Board
really? Is
Ape,
it? No, the originals, wasn't it? What are they called? I
CryptoPunks.
can't. No. It's I can't remember, but it's one of those with a
Okay.
David Bowie lightning thing on it.
Uh-huh. Oh yes. All right. So talking about David Bowie, we have got I done a contest on Twitter to give a shout out for a good question that comes from the audience for a chip. And the winner is Angel. Angel NFT Art asks,
Who's
how did
Angel?
HChip huh? Sorry?
Who's Angel? Who's Angel?
Angel NFT art with a purple pink face. Well, let me share you on the screen. He asks, how come does HChip love David Bowie so much?
It reminds me of Angel. No, do you know what? Do you know why I love David Bowie? Um, like I said to you, right? I'm a genuine fan of what you guys are able to do, and mainly because I can't do it, right? I can't. I don't have that thing in me. And so I'm kind of fascinated by the process. Like how does it arrive in your heads and then come out, but I can't sort of thing. Like, that really interests me. And what David Bowie did was he did it, but then he screwed it all up, threw it in the bin, and then did it again with a different style. It's like it's the equivalent of a photographer throwing a camera at the wall and then sitting down at a computer and creating a Pixar movie, and then doing away with that, and then started doing stencil detailed sketches, and then doing away with that. You know what I mean? Like it's what's going on here? Oh, this one on the top right. That's the tattoo that I was looking at getting. Um, but it's that's the equivalent of what David Bowie did in his career. What are you up to? You're on mute. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're not on mute. How professional are you? You muted yourself.
So,
Don't cut
David
it out.
Bowie,
Yeah.
this is the iconic picture of David Bowie that everybody knows. Why did I mean? Does this is an implant? What is this?
Yeah, that's just something the artist has done. I don't know what it is. Someone probably knows, but I don't.
Okay. So, is this for a music cover album? What is the story behind this?
Maybe maybe it's a ray gun. This is the cover of Aladdin Sane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the lightning bolt is part of a character. I mean, he had loads of different sort of, I don't know if you call them pseudonyms, but like characters. And this was his Ziggy Stardust period.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know about Ziggy, but he was one of his characters. So that's what that is. Look at the hair though. Look at that hair at the back.
Mm-hmm.
And ginger.
Okay, I pulled up Angel. This is the person asking the question.
Who the hell is that? Don't know. Don't know them.
Okay, so
I'm kidding, man.
you're making
I'm kidding you, Tanmay. Of course I know Angel. He's
we're
one of the
making a
nicest.
connection.
He's one of the nicest. Uh, he's one of the nicest, most caring people in the space. Actually, he does a lot of joking around, a bit like me. You know, he does a lot of taking the mick and things. But underneath that horrific, hard, prickly surface, if you can get beyond that tragic state, there's actually a really soft, beautiful, mellow, kind center, and I I regard him as a good friend.
You mentioned David Bowie, like reaching success and putting all that away and starting new with something completely different,
Hmm.
completely
Yeah.
new style. So if we talk about that in terms of artist, that would be not sticking to one particular style, just creating everything new every time you create.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a guy. Oh God, I'm gonna get annoyed now. What's his name?
Okay, you'll remember the
Um,
name, but what about him?
he creates art of all different styles.
Hmm.
Vibrations, something vibrations, isn't it?
Hmm. Well, I also do that
Oh,
way,
here it is.
but
Here it is. Negative vibrate. Negative vibrate. He is so good. He
Mhm.
is so good, man. Yeah, I've got a few pieces of his. I think I've got a few pieces, but he's capable of producing work of so many different types. It fascinates me. But I
Can
mean,
you
I'm not
share?
comparing. How do I share in here?
Yeah, there's a
Or the,
shared screen option on the screen in bottom center.
right. What I
Or
press
just tell
screen
me, I
or
will pull it up.
presentation? Oh, okay. So go to Twitter and it's at negative VIBRAT1.
Just type it in the chat box here. I'll just copy paste.
Alligator.
You know, it's so cool. NFT artist is trending since couple of days. It's very nice to see that on Twitter.
Here he is. There you go. Here he is.
So as we're pulling, as I'm pulling the screen up, why don't we talk about your process of collecting art? You're a well-established and very well-known collector.
My process. Do you know what? It's really simple. I've got certain artists that are on a short list that I haven't acquired from yet, but there's not that many left. Like I've got pieces from most of them. People I just think are sensational, and then there's others that are at a lower cost, so that requires less thought, I guess. Um, and if I like it, I buy it. I do very little research on an artist. But if I get a feel, but then to sort of contradict that, if I get to know an artist in the space and I really feel them, I like their energy, you know, I like their chat, then I'll buy from them as well. Um, But there's you meet undiscovered genius always as a collector. You find it everywhere. Like the talent in this space is extraordinary. Like I could list, plenty of people that you would know, I'm sure. But yeah, it's a
How do you
cesspit of talent. So
how do you
go on.
discover them?
Well, once people think you're a collector, there's not much discovery required because everyone's around you. You know, you're the good looking chick in a club. You know, so you don't have to do that. You don't have to go find it. It comes to you a lot of the time, but it's also referrals from other collectors, people like Dexter. Um, there's other collectors, who I respect, who put me in touch with people and give me nods. Paddy, shout out Paddy, he was brilliant to me when I first come into space. He taught me so much. And Alan Bolton, he was really good to me early doors. Yeah, there's a bunch of people that really sort of get you going. All the Bloom crew, all of those guys are really decent people, and they were really helpful to me. The list goes on, really.
We have had two Bloom collective members on the show, so do check out Sean Wong and Icky.
Yeah,
You can see the pop up here.
yeah.
Do
I've se-
check
I've
with
seen
them.
I've seen both of them, and there's a group that I'm in with them, a group chat, and I don't go in there often, but when I do, it's normally I post a piece of work and ask for an artist critique, to make sure, and they are always on it. Like these guys really know their stuff. Um, uh, yeah, and Siobhan, I heard from Siobhan just the other day, that piece she shared with half the face, it's just so good. And Icky's work, I've collected from both of those people. Icky's, yeah, he's got a mad way of kind of making you feel like you can touch the art. I feel like I can run my finger over the art and feel the surface and the textures and things. Um, yeah, mad. They're so talented.
Oh, now pulling in Negative's work, and also I've got your foundation here. So is this your right handle? Because there were three HChip accounts that popped up when I searched for it.
Yeah, no, my OpenSea is the proper one, but I've got so many wallets. I don't know what that one is, to be honest. But there's work in there, so that's fine.
How do you recognize as these are your works?
Oh yeah, they are. But where I put the work that, not to discredit any of this work, before people jump at me for that, but my vault work is in uh, a wallet called HChip.eth, I think, on OpenSea,
Okay,
or
I'll get.
it might be HChip with a one for the I. I'll find it.
Okay, just share the link with me. Till then, on screen, I'm sharing the works of Negative. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty cool looping works. I really love the skateboard.
skateboard's cool. Yeah. That one on the keep going down. There's one called Favela Swing or something. That's the one that I wanted. That's what got my attention to him.
It must be on Foundation. I'll find out.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think it
just
was.
share your link. I'll try to. Oh, he has got a ArtStation account. I think this is ArtStation is also very important to showcase your work, guys.
Why does OpenSea take an eternity to open a page?
I think it'll be still quicker than Super Rare. Okay, anyways,
Still trying to find it.
what you said, you mentioned all these ways finding, looking at other collectors, the Bloom Collective folks, and just people coming to you. You don't have to discover. You don't have to discover the artist. How was it initially?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was really difficult. But because I was fortunate, I don't know how it happened, but I got put in this chat group with some of the coolest people in the space, and I don't know if they took pity on me or what, but they was really kind to me, and they just they helped me. They helped me enormously. Um, and so it was really them. They helped me. They helped me uh, a lot. Right, I
How
got
did
it.
you
So
how did you get into NFTs and Web3?
so a mate of mine who's a brilliant artist himself. I've been in crypto for a while, so it was a natural thing really for me to get to.
How
Um,
long have you been in crypto?
since mid 2017,
Uh huh.
I think. Um, and then the person I'm speaking about, my mate, was into not he was talking about NFTs, and I'd obviously heard about them, and I started getting into the Twitter stuff. And me and him were sort of looking at it together, and then we decided it's probably best to go alone because our approach was so different. And that's where I got started from. Um, and I love it. It's the people you meet. I had a conversation earlier today with a guy who does digital frames. Muse, they're called Muse. And I was just having a conversation with him, and we're going to meet up next week and have a further chat. And there's so many opportunities. I was just this morning. I'm on the phone with someone who worked with Bowie for 10 years, and we're talking about this project, a collaboration project. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I love it.
So,
But
what brought you into
yeah.
cryptos in 2017? Investment and returns, or because you were in sales and then real estate? How did you come to crypto?
I'm never in real estate, really. I just invested in it. But I was managing people, and the best salespeople were younger. When they're hungry and they're arrogant and they want to make a name for themselves, they've got chip on the shoulder, all this stuff. So I recruited a bunch of youngsters, and they were all about Bitcoin and crypto and stuff, and I didn't understand any of it because I'm old and things. And then they talked to me about it, and so then I just started chucking money at it. Um, and now it's taken all my money, and it's left me with nothing.
Do you regret it?
No, I don't. I don't really regret it. Like I think that crypto will have its day for sure. Everything's going to be fine. We're all going to make it. Remember, um, mustn't get too down in the dumps about these things.
Why do you have such a soft corner for musicians in NFT?
Because music is the single best thing that ever happened to me. I love it. It's never ever abandoned me. It's never called me mean names. It's never, well, it does make me cry, but it's just been my best friend. Like, it's been the best mate I've ever had. Loyal to the end. Music will be. It's like a dog that sings, and plays instruments. Um, I love music. I love it. I
You
think if there
like
was a
it?
God, if there was a God, the thing that God, he or she, or they or them would be most proud of human beings, would be music. I don't think there's anything that they would look at with more pride than our ability to make music. What do you think?
Hmm. I would say the same for visual arts or movies.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's totally fair. Yeah.
I understand you. It changes the state of mind, and it is the drug which is free, and overdoing it doesn't harm you as would other drugs. So, and also, yeah. So, and you also made it a point to collect one music NFT every single day, right? You still do it?
No, I did that. I did that for a month, and I did one. I did a Christmas thing where that's Bloom. So that's the your guys at Bloom.
Yep.
So some of those are animations. This one here, bottom row on the right, that's Hannes. That's that's probably my favorite NFT.
Which
That
one?
one. That
Name it.
it's Spring is coming. Or oh, those are cool as well. Juice.
Spring is
Um,
coming. Ah, this one.
yeah, that one, and also I'll share another one with you as well. Those icky ones are crazy, man.
Yeah, they are so detailed, the key artworks, and even though they are in monochrome, there's so much detailing and texture in it. I really love this one.
So good. It's so good. Um,
Look at the focal point changing. This is really a pro.
it's a beautiful piece of art that. And go back. He did a Bowie piece for me. If you scroll right, well, where are you? That's not mine.
So yeah, I mean, you are so passionate about David Bowie that you have such a big collection of David Bowie. So why is that so?
Well, this is taking a lot longer than I anticipated. I was going to have a gallery dedicated to him by January this year, and it's not like it's my PFP is David Bowie, so it's a focal point of my a lot of my conversations. But music in general, I love David Bowie, but I love a lot of different types of music. But with him, I felt like if he was alive, he would be well into this space. I don't know if you've heard that famous interview where he's talking about the internet and what it's going to do for humanity, long before the internet was even established properly. But
What was that?
he
Tell us.
Oh, look, just look up on YouTube, Jeremy Paxman or David Bowie Internet. Even if you just look up David Bowie Internet, you'll hear him talking about what the internet's going to do for the human, the whole of
What are the
humanity.
crux? What do you like about it? What do you like about the interview?
I love his reinvention. I love how brave he is. He was central to the glam rock sound in the early '70s. I'm not claiming he invented it or anything, but he was the central theme of it. But then he discarded it all and went in a more pop direction, and that's really brave. Like to have worldwide acclaim and everybody sort of. I mean, he was massive star at this time, and then to have the courage to want to push yourself artistically rather than settle for the sound that you've uncovered is popular and throw it all away, reinvent yourself, hire new musicians, and go on and embark upon this journey of entirely new music. But not only that, produce it at the same level of brilliance. And not only that, but do it maybe 3 or 4 times in his career, right up until the last album. It's insane. I could play you 2 tracks of David Bowie, and you would have no idea that it's the same artist. You'd be so confused because he's done like drum and bass jungle type tracks, all the way down to kind of sweet little innocent, you know, like ballads, sort of simple Beatles pop songs.
Do you
They call
like
ballads.
do you like his
Oh,
disruption? I mean, internet has disrupted
yeah,
many things, right? And you see new things every time. It evolves and it changes very quickly. I think that's what you like, the changing aspect of it.
yeah, yeah. Well, he did a song called Changes, which is again is a brilliant song. He had an ability lyrically to talk as an observer of society and put it in really unique ways. Like so he compares he compares like capitalism to and consumerism to Mickey Mouse. You know, in one of his songs on Life on Mars, I think it is. When Mickey Mouse has turned into a cow, you know, talking about American consumerism and stuff. Like he does stuff like that. That's and 5 years, like lyrically, I want to listen to Bowie now. How long have I got? What's he's the best, man. Like I've got a playlist of the best of Bowie on my Spotify, but you should
So, do
listen
you
to it.
share it with me? I'll put it in the episode so everybody can enjoy your playlist.
How do I do that?
And after that, we would love to hear your poem now. Yeah, as you mentioned, you have also added music to it. It'll be so cool to hear.
Do I share my profile or the actual playlist with you?
Sorry?
Do I share my profile on Spotify or the actual playlist with you on Spotify? My profile,
Whatever.
isn't it?
I think
Okay.
a specific playlist would be good because people can even search your profile with that. Have you ever hopped with kangaroos?
And that's a stupid question. But if you hop with a kangaroo, you know you have your face bitten off, don't you? Or scratched off.
Bit.
Kangaroo
I
would
thought
kill you, man.
kangaroos don't bite. I thought they punch and they swing their tails.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean, though.
Smack you with their tails.
Tanmay.
There are even smaller versions of kangaroos, right? Like they're little
What's that?
dwarfish, dwarf kangaroos, smaller in size.
What is?
They are grey. Their color's grey. I'd seen them in a zoo. Grey
What is?
color kangaroos, which are smaller in size.
Oh. Oh yeah, yeah. There's different types of kangaroos. Yeah. Well, you've got that now.
I wish.
Kangaroos. Oh.
I don't see any kangaroo art in your collection.
I don't think I've got any kangaroo art.
Sorry?
I don't think I've got any kangaroo art. To be honest.
Heart has been with the final chapters of the book. How could you fly so high back down to earth alone? I love the stupid woman I call Mrs. Pocket Star. Mrs. Pocket Star.
That was so good.
It was silence.
Okay, probably the software might have caught it, but if not, I'll put it in.
You've got the file now, so yeah. But shout out Fifi and also Nifty Sacks.
Wow.
Nifty Sacks is minting their pass at the minute, so check out Nifty Sacks is his name. I don't know if it's public or not, but those two are really lovely people. Yeah, they were awesome to me with this thing.
So you had written this. You wrote this
Huh?
music.
Well,
You
I
wrote
did. I wrote the lyrics.
Okay. Wow,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. Like Fifi's voice is so good, and even the piano is playing in the background. It
Yeah.
is
Oh, she's
beautiful.
brilliant. But that's going to get minted. Like there'll be different versions of that track that we will mint
When are you going to mint?
next couple of weeks, probably.
Okay, cool. All right,
Yeah.
the one on your profile is also pretty cool. Can you read it out for us?
I don't know what it is. Let me have a look.
On Twitter profile. Twitter bio pin tweet.
Bio. Okay. Oh, this was taking the piss out of AI. Well, not taking the piss. I wanted to try and write a poem that featured in every line AI. So it's called Am I? Because the letter, you get me, don't you?
I hear you. Just, I mean, let's hear the poem in a flow and then we can hear
Okay.
you
All
explain
right.
it.
There's no flow to it really, but okay, it's called Am I? Am I? An amazing idea and artistic interpretation starts with adventurous imagination, ample inspiration, and adorable innocence. Artistic incense smells like an alluring invitation to an authentic individual, an acoustic instrument, or agile ink. Ask independently. Am I? AI.
Am I? Are you? Am I?
Who knows?
Wow. How do you get inspiration for this?
That one, I just set myself a challenge of trying to write a poem using only words that started with A and I. Um, but I do
Did,
most of the poems I write come from.
and did you use AI for this? For am I?
No, I should have done actually. Um, no, but most of the things I write aren't intended for public view because I don't really consider myself to be a writer or a poet or an artist or anything like that. But it's really it's almost like therapy. You know, I listen to music a lot to help me, and I write stuff. So a lot of it comes from quite a sad place. It's like quite um, you know, broken hearts or feeling alone or anxiety, mental health stuff. I wrote one called Anxiety, um, which was really raw. It was really raw, and I was really scared to share it because I hadn't shared a poem before, and it was about something that's really not close to my heart, but something that's affected me for a long, long time. So that was a difficult one to share. But again, the Web3 community does what it does, doesn't it? And just showers you with flowers and
The first
kindness.
time the first time you had shared that one was on MySpace, I believe. And it was amazing to hear because you
Yeah,
could
you're
relate
right.
it so much.
You're right. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Touching a bit on mental health, how do you deal with it, or after dealing with it for considerable time, what would you suggest other listeners or young folks who might be going through it?
I know. I don't have any advice because if I knew that, then I'd be doing it. Listen to music, go for a walk or something.
Hmm. But I'm hopefully I hope that you don't regret that time, right? Or do you?
I regret what?
Whatever the phase was, I hope that gives you an inspiration to do better things instead of making it sorrowful or regretful.
What are you referring to?
A negative incident, usually there are some incidents which happen that take a person into a
Oh, I see.
s-
Yeah, gotcha. Um, no, not really regret. Not really regret. More, um, I mean, when I'm with mental health, it's different because you can't. It's the most frustrating thing because it's so hard to explain it to anyone. So it's a really lonely feeling. Um, but with the other stuff, it's more like just expressing how you're feeling, I suppose. And and trying to just work through it, I suppose. I don't know. It's not easy for me to talk about, to be honest.
Hmm. That's why we have poems, and you do a great job of expressing your feelings through the poems, and I really love that anxiety poem. So cheers to that. Hope
Thanks,
you
man.
meant,
I appreciate that.
yeah, hope you
Uh,
meant that as well.
I think I've got a piece. Nuclear Samurai did a piece of art for it with the lyrics sort of blurred in the background, and I was going to mint it and give the proceeds to a mental health charity, but I don't know why I never got around to doing that. I will do that. I will do that, Tanmay.
Wonderful. And we'll follow up in the comments to check it
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So on to the signature round, but before that, we'd love to know some fun facts about Australia from you.
Well, facts about Australia. I mean, I don't
And I'll
know.
tell you
I don't
why.
know.
And I'll tell you why I'm asking this question, because this podcast is very international. We have had people from over 23 countries, and now we are going to have people from all countries, experts from each and every country of the world. So we are
Oh.
taking in fun facts of those countries, and today is the day for Australia.
Yeah, I don't really know many fun facts, but I'll tell you some odd things about this place because I'm not Aussie, right? But they're really nice. They're really good people. They're lovely, very welcoming people. That's the first thing, but that's not really fun fact. What they do this thing on Anzac Day, right? Anzac
Do
Day is
on
the day, Anzac Day is a day where they celebrate the fallen comrades from World War Two. You know, the Australian New Zealand Army and the soldiers that passed fighting for freedom and stuff. And they all go to the pub. They have memorial time, which is like at sunrise at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And then they go to these clubs called RSLs, which I think stands for Returning Soldiers Leagues, something like that. But anyway, they then drink enormous amounts and play this game called Two Up, where you get these coins and you bet with randoms on whether it's going to be heads or tails. It's like I think it's three coins and they flip them and you guess whether it's going to be heads or tails. I think something like that, and you just bet with random people in the crowd. So that's that. That's one thing. Um, what else have I got? Oh, they have mad. They have big stuff in so certain places around the. They have
big
they have
stuff.
the big stuff. So in a place called Coffs, they have the
Big.
big pineapple, the big pineapple.
Spell what
It's a
you're saying.
massive,
Big, massive stuff,
big,
or a pig animal
yeah,
pig? Pig the animal, or big things, big
no,
massive things,
huge,
huge things?
huge, massive.
Okay. Okay.
So and each place has a different one. So there's a place where they've got a huge, but it's called the big, and then something. So the big pineapple is one. The big tucker box, I think, which is like a box for dogs. The big banana. I think they have big things. There's a big sheep somewhere.
They have
Do
big
that.
things, but they don't have big bananas, is what they.
No, the big banana. There is a big banana. I think that's in Coffs Harbour. Big banana. Um, you know, well, depending on what day of the week it's Tanmay. See what I mean?
Okay. For those who got it, got it. Anyways.
Yeah, yeah, they got it all right.
Fish. Yeah, as we spoke about a business, fish and HChip. Um, why is it such a delicacy?
Sorry, it's not. It's not a delicacy. It's just some fish and some chips. I mean, they're surrounded by water. Do you know what I mean? And they live by the beach. And you have fish and chips by the beach, don't you? So it's really beautiful, fresh fish.
So for this new venture, the franchisee that we are going to sell out, how would you sell this to a potential buyer? This franchisee of fish and HChip, where the fish is vegan,
Oh,
and
well,
it's
I would
called
start
fish
by
and HChip. H for herbal chip or healthy chip. HChip.
Perfect
Okay.
chip. Well, I would say to them that not only do you get to enjoy the traditional taste of fish and chips, which, as we all know, reminds you of holidays and sunshine and the beach and happy times, but you also get to support a business that is run by two very different people from India and from Australia, and all proceeds from this vegan fish goes to help young children with building agricultural things for their villages to help feed, the starving in certain areas of Africa and other areas. So if you don't buy the fish and chips, you're basically voting for. If you choose pasta, you choose genocide. What do you think?
That was powerful. Now you have to go and look at the links in description and get your franchisee for fish and HChip right to your neighborhood. Okay.
Oh my god, I love you, Tanmay. I don't know why, but I do, really do. You're a
All
legend.
right. Now to thank you so much. I love you back. Let's hear some signature round questions. Name 3 people, living or dead, that you would like to have lunch with.
David Bowie, Christopher Hitchens, and Michael
Which Michael?
Hartley.
Oh, why not Michael Jackson?
I think Michael's more interesting.
Both are Michaels.
Yeah, I'd like Michael there because I'd have someone to lean on if Christopher started kicking off and Bowie was like, you know, doing drugs in the toilet or something. I could lean on Michael and say, tell us more about them hedgehogs. Do you know what I mean? I'd have someone reliable that I know I get on with to
Stable,
balance
steady
any
guy.
madness. Yeah. I think that's
What question? So the second half of the question is, what question would you ask all these 3? It can be different question for different people.
Christopher Hitchens. I would say, um, uh, is woke culture a force for good or evil in the world, and for what reason? And you only have 3 hours, and then I would listen and enjoy every word of that. David Bowie, I would ask him, um, what is it? What is it that happens in your mind? Like, can you try your best to describe for me the catalyst of an idea as it happens, the nucleus of the idea in your head? What does that feel like? And then when you translate it onto sheet or into music, how close? Like, what's the closest you've ever got to that original idea? What track is it? I'd probably ask him that. And then Michael, I'd probably ask him, what are we going to talk about in tomorrow's space?
Yeah, still join in for tomorrow's space. That's very interesting. And all people watching this, if you have got a David Bowie AI, or if you can get this question, what HChip wants to know from the AI, he might collect your artwork, or maybe get that intellectual information as an NFT. So
I'll tell you
comment.
something, right? Anybody that comments on this, well, there's two things that has to happen. 3 things that need to happen. Suka, the cryptocurrency, TSUKA, needs to hit $1. Okay, if that hits $1, and this gets more views than Kato, OG, if he insists on the OG, if it gets more views than Kato, everybody that comments or likes on this video, I will buy a piece of art from if the first 2 things happen.
Let's go.
But it can't say fairer than that.
Absolutely awesome. Love it. And this is going to be a promo trailer of this trailer of this episode. All right.
Do you want a soundbite to get everyone to click on it?
Yeah. What would you
Okay.
say?
All right, you ready? And another thing, these bloody people come into the space, they say all this nonsense which no one should listen to. You're a dickhead as well for even asking the question. That was out of order. I'm done with this. I'll see you later. There you go.
Let's go. Good one. Epic. You are the best. Wow. This is the thing. Controversy sells, and you nailed it. Let's go. Um, okay. Next question. How to make money?
Um, okay. Provide value beyond or the price that you're asking for. Does that make sense? So always over deliver.
Hmm. Always over deliver.
So provide value greater than the sum of the price you're asking for. So if you're trying to sell something for 1 ETH, give them 1.5 ETHs worth of value.
And who determines the value?
Well, do you know what you did before? I can give you an example. When we brought up that piece from Hannes, you mentioned the focal adjustments, the detail. You mentioned things in that happened in that video that I would never have noticed. That's because you're an artist. So if everybody that collected from you also had access to your eye and could send you artwork, and you could say to them, listen, technically this is really quite poor. It's the lighting, the angles, whatever it is. You could save that collector hundreds of ETH every year. So
Hmm.
that's value.
That's a good business proposition as well. So the business making idea 536. Uh, you can you can be an eye to the collector. But don't you think it's funny how even Pepe and the works which seem objectively seem to have a very low effort sells for such a high price?
Yeah. Well, that's what happens. If you've got a bunch of people that made generational wealth, don't forget how they made that generational wealth. They made it out of pretend digital tokens. So they don't see that there is no value. It's like if you put a quid down, if you put a fiver down at the roulette table and you win every single time for a year, you haven't the value that you place in that currency versus if you spent 20 years earning it. It's different. If you invested $20 in Bitcoin 20 years ago or 15 years ago or whatever, you've now got tens of millions of dollars. You're not going to ascribe any value to that. So of course, why wouldn't you spend £1 million on a two-dimensional GIF of a punk? Do you know what I mean? Like, what? I don't see why anyone would be surprised.
Yeah, it's their will, their choice, and how they want to spend it, sort of. But I also think it leans to more about identity, about being different, and about status.
Absolutely, absolutely, it's about status. Those punks are not going anywhere. Those punks in another 20 years will be worth so much coin.
Crypto
Don't you
punks, you
reckon?
mean?
Like, yeah, yeah, and the kitties.
And they're historic also, right? That's just not about the in thing. It is actually historic in a way.
It's status. It's if you want immediate credibility in Web3, put a punk as your PFP.
Punk or a
That
bored
that
ape.
no, I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know. I think those punks are. If I had the money and I was hammered and I hadn't slept for 3 days and I'd taken quite a lot of Xanax and I hadn't eaten, and someone had just beaten me up and I'd just come out of a coma or something and I'd won the lottery, then maybe I'd buy one. I think that.
So many parameters to buy that. Okay. All right. So, what is your favorite movie?
Oh man, I don't know movies. Probably either maybe Jungle Book.
Okay.
Watership Down was good.
All right.
I don't know movies. I don't know them.
We got
Yeah,
it.
one
We
of
got
those.
two names. That is good enough. What is your favorite book?
BFG.
What?
The BFG by
What is
the Big
BFG?
Friendly. It stands for Big Friendly Giant by Roald Dahl.
Okay, we'll
Love that
check it
book.
up. What do you like about it in one sentence?
Um, all the words that get invented. Snoscumbers. All
Did they did they invent your accent also in that book?
that. Nah, it's just magical. It's a magical book. I mean, people think I'm an idiot, but it is a brilliant book. Read it and tell me it's not brilliant. I mean, I could tell you like I could tell you like something posher, something more posh,
No,
but
I
it
don't
wouldn't be
know.
true.
I haven't read this book. That's why that's why I generally wanted to know. What is the
I've got it.
storyline like?
It's about a giant. It's about a giant who determines what you dream. So he goes around with this trumpet thing, and he captures these things, puts them in jars, and then he spits them into your head when you're asleep, and that's what you dream. But
Oh,
there's nasty giants as well that will give you nightmares, and he's like the big friendly one.
oh, interesting. Let's have a read at it. Okay, what is one thing you cannot live without?
Music.
Music.
Mm.
Okay.
I'd rather be blind than deaf, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, we know after you have watched the whole episode till here, you know the reason very well by now because he loves music and yes, we know it. All right. What's on your bucket list next?
Bucket list. Just something spontaneous. Um, I mean, I really want to leave a legacy in Web3, but that's much bigger than a bucket list item, isn't it? Are you talking about bungee jumping or something?
No, that could be bucket list is anything open. It's not just about adventure, but something that you have not done and you want to do next.
Yeah, I want to, I want to leave my footprint on this in this place, and I want it to be a positive one.
In
So
NFTs or
maybe
in
maybe
Web3?
in Web3, in Web3, yeah. But that's probably more legacy than I'm not. I don't go outdoors, mate. So bucket list items for me. Maybe I'll order a curry on the weekend. That'd be quite
So
nice. I've not had a curry in ages.
you want to leave a digital footprint on the blockchain.
Well, no. What I want to do is I want to be a. I want to help. I want to help contribute to the 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 development of Web3
Hmm.
as positively as possible. And I've got lots of little plans, but it's about making them happen.
You
So
want to be remembered for a catalyst or a change maker in this space, in the
yeah,
Web3 net.
like my legacy with corporate was that I helped people achieve. I helped loads and loads of people have better careers than they would have had if we weren't working together. And I'm so proud of that. I love it. Um, and I want to do the same here. You know, I want to facilitate the I want to facilitate as many people as possible achieving as close as possible to their full potential in Web3.
Wow, beautiful. All right. What do you do? What do you like to do for fun?
Jesus, I gotta go back to the 90s. Um,
Aren't you having fun these days?
it's all right. Look, going to see West Ham live. Um, going on a date with a decent, yeah, nice woman, or do you know what Twitter Spaces is probably Good
Fun.
fun.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
most of my Fridays with the crew, you know, like I've got a little crew there, and then my good mates, and I really enjoy that time.
All
And,
right.
and obviously my boy. I should say my boy on Sundays. Like last week we went to you know, those pits that are filled with little balls.
Hmm.
Do you know those? Yeah, I took him to one of those, and we had a right giggle. It was brilliant. We went on a little choo choo train. Um, yes, that's my fun.
Wow. Cute. My nephew was wanting to go to one of such places last Sunday, but when we got on a discussion with the whole family, and specifically he wanted to know how our kids made. So it
How
was.
are kids know? Yeah, that's tricky. You didn't give him a live demo, did you?
No, I was trying to stretch my imagination and creativity to its extent to explain just like flowers and stuff and different things. But then I was like, okay, you'll be taught that in school in a couple of years. Don't worry. Because
Yeah, yeah.
as I mentioned, egg and sperm, had like no clue, and they were like
Oh,
weirded out by it. So I was like, let me prepare myself next time better with things. Then I asked Chat GPT about how would you explain this to a child, and they were like, have a diagram with you, and then explain with the womb and how amazing it is. And he used these words like wonderful and amazing and cool to explain all these things.
mental.
Magical thing that happens, which is called love, making, and sex.
Oh my God.
It was funny. Okay, but yeah, that's the question. If you have a good explanation for kids, which you can give in a short time, do comment that below. All right, what gets you excited about the future?
Don't know. I guess I guess not knowing. I suppose. I don't know what the future looks like for me, or like it's really uncertain. So I think, you know, embracing that and waiting to see. I don't know. I don't know if excitement's the word though. And I mean, I'm full of anticipation for it. Like I haven't stumbled on what's next yet for me. It's taken me a couple of years. You know, I need to. So I guess what excites me is finding the thing. I'm going to find the thing.
Wow, that's a cool way of looking at it. The unknown makes you excited, right? If it would be boring if everything was known. That's cool. I like that spirit. All right. What is the most priceless gift that you have ever received?
Yeah, can I say my boy, or is it not
Yeah,
considered a
yeah, yeah.
gift? Yeah,
Anything. It can be material,
100%,
non-material.
100%. My little boy. Yeah, it's like it's mad. The dynamic between me and him when it's just me and him together is it's just different. It's different to anything else. Like, yeah, I love it. Definitely, hands down, my boy for sure.
Awesome. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Um, just put the glass down and go to bed.
Put the glass down.
Yeah, you don't need one more, basically.
Can you explain?
Like, yeah, like you know when you're in the pub and you go, I'll have one more.
Okay.
My advice would be, you don't need one more. Just go to bed. Would have saved me a lot of trouble.
All
Hmm.
right. Has anybody?
Or don't say it. Don't say it. That's what it would be.
Don't say it.
You know when you think stuff, I always say it. I think, yeah, don't say it. Chip.
What are you
If
thinking?
you, yeah, I'm learning.
All right. Has anybody told you that you look like Gordon Ramsay?
Fuck me, mate. No. Why? Why'd you ask?
Just like one from one angle, and the color of your hair, and probably he's also Australian. So putting all those things together, it gave me a
Yeah.
feel.
And what is that, Phil?
No, it just looks wise. It was pretty cool. He's also upfront and talking about his mind out. He just talks what he thinks.
So, look, hang on, I just want to be clear here that you're saying that I look like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. He's about 20 years older than me, but whatever.
So yeah, you can take it as a compliment.
Oh, yeah, no, I will. A geezer that spent his entire life over boiling hot water, wrinkling his face up into some filthy leather mop.
And
That's what I look
we
like.
need a Gordon Ramsay for a fish and HChip business also, right?
All right, fine, I'll be Gordon.
All right. Thank you so much. It was an amazing session talking to you. A lot of fun. This is going to be one of the most amazing episodes. Thank you for
Come
doing
here,
this
you
with us.
donkey. Come here, donkey. Get out of my kitchen. Get out. Get out of my kitchen. Fucking donkey. It's more.
That was the Gordon Ramsay take care. Okay.
Oh,
What
God.
what are some parting words would you like to say our viewers as we have come to end to the conclusion?
Nothing other than thank you. I enjoy chatting to you in a space. So to get you one on one for as long as I have, it's been a real treat for me. I think you're you're a really great guy. And it's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed this. So I feel humble that you would even consider having me on this, and I can't wait for the viewership figures to go north of Cato, and so I can add that to my bio in Twitter and remind him every day. That'll
Let,
be my final words.
let's go. It was a lot of fun to talk to you. You are one of the person I really wanted to talk and talks you on the show for the first time. But you are so kind. Um, Sometimes you're tough like a coconut from the outside, but inside you're very kind and supportive and supporting person. So even not just now, not just in today, but observing you throughout the months, it is really nice to have you. So thank you so much. Much
You're
love to
welcome,
you.
man. Thank you, brother. Cheers.